Righto team, 6 months with no video. I think I owe you an explanation. So let's get into the excuses and hopefully give you a hint of what's to come on the OnThrottle YouTube channel. So stick around and we'll get stuck into it, eh? So, forgive the note-taking and the reading of somewhat of a script. I've written my thoughts down over the last week since a question came in as to, well, where the heck have I been? 6 months, no video, what's up with that? So I've written down my thoughts and we'll run through them and hopefully it'll make a bit of sense and hopefully you won't judge me too much for dropping off the face of YouTube for half a year. So why so quiet? Last video I posted was in April. It was when we covered the CF Moto 450MT sales just falling off a cliff essentially. Thankfully for CF Moto, those have bounced back and it remains New Zealand's most popular motorcycle in terms of sales this year, which is quite astounding really. In that time since then, there's been a few changes going on in my life, which have taken precedence over YouTube, those namely being work and family life. So I've got 2 children, they're both now at school, and that means after school activities I've got to ferry them to. Before the children going to school, I was a full-time dad, part-time motorcycle journalist type person. Yeah, with the kids at school now, I have a full-time job for the first time since 2018, and I work remotely, so I'm based in my home office 4 days a week by myself. And at the end of the day, when I've finished work, sitting in the office is not really the place I want to be, right? So I spend that time with my family. I try and interact with friends, with my wife, or go and do something else, because sitting in an office all day and then spending your evenings in there, it'll do your head in, especially over winter where things get a bit glum anyway. So yeah, that's sort of what the last 6 months have been. That new job though is pretty cool. So without saying fully what I'm doing, I'm now working for a New Zealand motorcycle distributor, which is part of the reason why I've chosen to stop doing motorcycle reviews. It's obviously massive conflict of interest there if I was to continue doing that. And it's not fair to you, not fair to the other distributors, for me to be sort of pretending to review motorcycles when in fact I've got a very vested interest in them selling. So moving forwards, there's not really going to be any motorcycle reviews on the channel, mainly because, yeah, it's just not ethically right for me to be doing that kind of content. I'll still sort of ride new bikes and sort of show you over them, should the opportunity arise. I do have access to lots of new motorcycles. Should the opportunity come up, I will very happily ride them and give you my impressions on them, but I'm not doing reviews anymore. I can still do reviews for things like helmets, gear, tech, whatnot, when those opportunities arise. I have been doing a little bit of riding over the winter period, not a hell of a lot. There's not been a lot of bikes available to me. As you may remember, I sold my personal bike, Rosie the Rally, a couple of years ago. Since then I've been sort of using press bikes to get through and to scratch my motorcycling itch. And unfortunately that sort of left me this year with not a lot of access to bikes. So there hasn't been a lot of bikes available through work. Quick peek behind the curtain is, at least where I work, press and demo bikes are sold at 5,000 kilometres, which doesn't leave a lot of room for them to be ridden by staff. So I had access to a Speed Triple RS for a bit, and then the boss found out it had 23,000 Ks on it and said, can you please not ride that? We'd like to sell it. I've also had a brief stint over the summer, you may recall, with that Moto Guzzi V7. That had 10,000 Ks on it, and I was also asked to stop riding that. So that could be sold. So yeah, swings and roundabouts, right? You get access to great stuff, but also there are some very hefty rules around how you can utilize those products. It's a cool job though, and I hope to share some stuff with you on it in the future. I've also been riding some other stuff. I've done a little bit of dirt riding. I went down to the Cold Kiwi Motorcycle Rally and did a bit of filming there, but none of those videos have really been what I want the channel to focus on, and I haven't been able to tell a story with them, or at least I haven't been able to create a comprehensive story with a beginning, middle, and end. And what I want to create with this channel is quality over quantity. So I could have continued to make news type videos like that CF Moto video and pump those out at a weekly basis, but at the end of the day, I don't think that's what a lot of people have signed up for. If that is what you've signed up for, please let me know in the comments and I will make an effort to make more content like that. But I kind of figured, being in New Zealand, having a unique sort of place in the world to ride, a unique viewpoint of riding, I think that's kind of what the selling point of this channel was. Again, what kind of content do you want? What do you expect from OnThrottle? Let me know in the comments. But moving forward, yeah, as I said, I want to be making more sort of film-like videos. I've been listening to a great podcast called Real Riders. It's hosted by a Kiwi called Simon Josie, based in Germany, and I've been finding quite a lot of inspiration in that. So with that in mind, we are in beautiful spring weather now. Things are starting to change, and I do have a few plans for the coming riding season. One of which is finally replacing Rosie the Rally, which I've never really covered why I sold that bike, and maybe I'll go into it in another video, but the nuts and bolts of it were that bike wasn't bringing me joy anymore. Like that Japanese lady with her TV show, if it doesn't bring you joy, get rid of it. So I did, and after 2 years of searching, I think I finally found the bike to replace that, something that brings me a bit of joy every time I crank it on, I sit on it, and that bike might already be here. So I'll give you a sneak peek as to what the new bike is. I'm not going to show you what it is just yet, but I'll turn it on and you can enter your guesses as to what it is in the comments below. And moving forward, there will be some videos, and I will be monitoring the comments of this video, and we will hopefully continue to have a great time with this YouTube channel and do some great stuff with motorcycles. So without further ado, I'm going to go crank on the bike, chuck those guesses to what it is in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next video. Good times ahead.